Did it just stop? Right now? Her voice slices through the jazz and chatter. The rooftop crowd freezes as the heiress, champagne in one hand, diamond-studded Cartier watch in the other, stares at the still hands like time itself betrayed her. You stand near the elevator doors, toolbox in hand, still wearing your gray maintenance uniform. You weren't supposed to be here. Someone upstairs called down for a guy who knows watches, and you happened to be the one holding the screwdriver when the request came through. Now the crowd, parts like you're contagious. She looks you up and down. A tailored shimmer of silver silk against the dull fluorescent reflection off your name tag. You? She laughs. Please tell me this is a joke. My watch costs more than your entire wardrobe. The laughter follows like obedient dogs. You don't move. Her assistant whispers, Miss Fairchild, the hotel manager said he's the only one certified to handle antique mechanisms. Her painted lips curl. Perfect. A certified janitor. She turns to the guests, raising her voice just enough to be heard over the saxophone. All right, mister. She squints at your tag. Carter, fix my father's watch, and I'll marry you on the spot. The crowd howls, but you don't laugh. You just nod once, calm, eyes steady. Do you want it ticking or telling the truth? That line lands strange. A few guests blink. The heiress tilts her head, unsure whether you're being clever or insolent. She tosses the watch onto a white linen napkin, the diamonds catching the light like tiny, sharp eyes. You walk closer, slow, deliberate, your old leather toolkit squeaking open with a familiar sigh. The smell of machine oil and brass fills the air, clashing with her perfume. Careful, she warns. That piece was my father's. I know, you say quietly, examining the face. The engraving beneath the glass, faint, almost worn off, stops your hand for half a second. Her laughter masks her unease. Oh, so you know my father now? Maybe you cleaned his shoes too. You don't answer. Instead, you remove the back casing. The second hand quivers slightly, like a breath caught in the throat. A murmur ripples through the guests. Some take out their phones. Not to record yet, but you can feel their fingers itching. Every scene like this becomes content now. The heiress leans closer, her tone honeyed and cruel. You fix hotel sinks, don't you? What do you know about fine watches? You pick up your loop, fitting it over one eye. Enough to tell when time has been tampered with. A flicker. Just a flicker. Her expression falters, the band keeps playing, softer now, the trumpet hanging on a single unresolved note. You hear whispers around you? He's actually doing it? Look at his hands, so steady. Doesn't even flinch. You glance at her shoes, custom silver stilettos, hand-stitched. You made things like that once, too. Things that carried stories, not status. Do you always take bets this personal? You ask, half under your breath. She smirks. Only when I know I'll win. You look up just long enough to meet her eyes. We'll see who wins. A hush ripples again. She doesn't like how you said that. There's something about silence that terrifies the powerful. It suggests you know something they don't. You reach into your toolkit, pulling out a worn screwdriver whose handle is cracked near the base. The heiress scoffs. Oh, darling, those relics belong in a museum. They were, you say softly. Once. A few people chuckle awkwardly, unsure if they're supposed to. The air feels tighter now. You remove the balance wheel, careful, exact. Beneath it, the initials catch the light. RF and CC, 1987. Your pulse steadies. Hers doesn't. What's that? She asks sharply. You wipe the metal clean. A maker's mark. Standard in luxury pieces from the late 80s. Yours has 2 sets of initials. She laughs again, but it's thinner this time. So, maybe my father's business partner? Maybe, you say. But your thumb brushes over the second set, the one you engraved yourself 38 years ago, in a workshop no one remembers anymore. She taps her glass. Are we almost done, Mr. Carter? Or should I have security escort you before your shift ends? You replace the wheel, turn the crown once, twice. A sharp tick fills the silence. Then another. The crowd leans in. The watch is running. She blinks. You fixed it? You nod, closing your toolkit. For now. But you might want to check what's inside before making any more bets. You hand it back. For a second, she hesitates before taking it, like she suddenly doesn't trust what it might reveal. Around you, the crowd murmurs approval, half amusement, half disbelief. Someone whispers, "That man just fixed a $500,000 antique like it was nothing." The heiress forces a smile, slipping the watch onto her wrist. "Well, congratulations, Mr. Carter. You've earned a slow clap and a glass of champagne, but not a wedding ring." You tilt your head slightly. "Good. I've already been married to my craft." The line lands crisp. Even the band chuckles. Her laugh returns, brittle but louder than before. "Oh, I like you," she says. "You almost sound like you mean that." "I always mean what I say." She rolls her eyes, turning back to her friends. "Well, time's fixed. Everyone relax. Drinks on me." You walk away quietly, toolkit under your arm. But just before the elevator closes, you glance back. She's staring down at the watch again, frowning, tapping the glass, the second hand ticking perfectly now. And for the first time that evening, she looks unsure whether she won or lost. The doors close. The faint sound of the ticking still echoes in your head. People still argue whether that was the moment everything began to unravel. The night when a single broken watch started telling the truth again. The next morning, the story is already online. Heiress makes marriage bet with janitor, one headline reads. Another, luxury, laughter, and a $500K watch fixed by the help. You scroll past them during your lunch break, sitting alone at a metal table behind the hotel's maintenance wing. A cold sandwich sweats in its wrapper. The buzz of the staff radio hums beside you. She doesn't know your name trended for 6 hours overnight. She doesn't know the world has already taken sides. The mockers, the defenders, the people replaying the clip of her tossing the watch like a toy. What she does know is that the watch keeps perfect time now, and that fact bothers her more than the headlines. Upstairs, in her penthouse suite, Evelyn Fairchild stands before the mirror, twisting her wrist back and forth, watching the second hand tick like a heartbeat she can't control. Her assistant, always hovering, murmurs, "Ma'am, your father's name is trending again." "The watch." "I know," she snaps. "Schedule a PR statement. Say it was light-hearted, a philanthropic challenge. People love those?" Her reflection doesn't smile back. For the first time, the engraved initials beneath the glass catch her attention. RF and CCR. F, Richard Fairchild, her father. CC, unknown. She frowns. "Who the hell is CC? Downstairs, you set your coffee aside?" The radio crackles. "Carter, room 72's thermostat stuck again." "Bring your kit," you sigh. "On it. You've worked this hotel for 9 years. Every chandelier, every gold faucet. You've repaired something they broke trying to look rich." But last night was different. The way she looked at that engraving, recognition struggling against arrogance, told you something old was stirring. As you step into the service elevator, a housekeeper glances up. "You're the guy from the video, right?" "The watch guy?" You nod, she grins. "My husband says you made her eat her words. Took guts, doing that in front of all those people." You smile faintly. "Just did my job." She leans closer. "Funny thing, though. Didn't her daddy used to have a shop downtown? Fairchild and Carver Jewelers?" Your eyes flicker. "He did." She nods, humming. "My grandpa bought his wedding ring there. Said the black craftsman who worked behind the counter was the real genius. Never saw him again after the new management took over." You step off the elevator before she finishes. Funny how stories survive, in whispers, in families, in the quiet memory of who actually made what. Back in her suite, Evelyn scrolls through comments she pretends not to read. One sticks. "Bet Daddy's turning in his grave." "That man made your fortune tick." She slams her laptop shut. "Get me his file," she orders her assistant. "That repairman, Carter something?" The assistant hesitates. "Why?" "Because I want to know why he looked at that watch like it belonged to him." Downstairs, the hotel manager corners you by the service desk. "Carter, listen," he says in a low voice. "Miss Fairchild called corporate. Says you were disrespectful. She's demanding a review of your employment." You take a slow breath. "For fixing her problem?" "She claims you implied her family tampered with her father's property." You laugh once, humorless. "Didn't say a word like that." He sighs. I know, just stay low for now. HR wants to assess optics. Optics, you repeat. That's a fancy word for survival these days. He gives a guilty shrug. It's her world, man. We just keep the lights on. You walk away. That evening, the sky over the city glows amber as the sunset catches the skyscraper glass. You're on the rooftop again, fixing a string of flickering bulbs from last night's party. Below, laughter rises from the lounge. Same people, same cocktails, just one missing bet. A voice drifts up behind you. You missed a bulb. You turn. Evelyn stands there, sunglasses on, despite the dim light. Her tone is smooth, rehearsed. You caused quite a stir, Mr. Carter. You nod, keeping your focus on the light. Seems like your guests enjoyed it. She steps closer, arms folded. You embarrassed me. Didn't mean to. Just fixed a watch. Her lips tighten. Do you always talk in riddles? Only when people mistake honesty for attitude. A beat. Silence hums between you. The city noise feels distant, muted under tension. She takes off her glasses. That engraving. The initials. You seemed familiar with it. I was. Were. You turn, eyes steady. Long time ago. She tilts her head. So what? You engraved it? You don't answer directly. Tell me something. Your father ever talk about where he learned the craft? She frowns. He was self-taught. That's what his biography says. Biographies leave things out. Her eyes narrow. Why are you talking like you knew him? You wipe your hands on a rag, closing your toolkit. Because I did. The silence is heavy. The wind tugs at her hair. Somewhere below, a horn blares and fades. She studies you, like you're a puzzle piece that shouldn't fit. You expect me to believe that? My father was a genius. He built an empire. He built it, you say quietly, on someone else's designs. Her breath catches, but she hides it behind a smirk. You're delusional. Maybe, but the truth doesn't care what you believe. You sling the toolkit over your shoulder, stepping past her toward the elevator. Wait. Her voice cracks, just slightly. If what you're saying is true, prove it. You glance back. You already wear the proof on your wrist. The elevator doors close again, the same way they did last night. But this time, her reflection lingers in the polished metal. The image of a woman who suddenly isn't sure who her father really was. She stares down at the watch. Heart pounding, tick, tick, tick. Time has started counting down, but she doesn't yet know to what. The following week, the Fairchild Tower lobby smells of marble polish and perfume. The building gleams like pride itself. Evelyn Fairchild stands before a semicircle of investors. Smiling that kind of practiced smile only people born into wealth can manage. She's unveiling her new campaign. Fairchild Legacy, timeless craftsmanship for the modern age. On the mighty display screen behind her glows the image of that same watch. Her father's watch, now the logo centerpiece of the entire brand. She doesn't know that you're standing just 20 feet away, tightening the base of a podium microphone. She doesn't see how your jaw tenses when her speech drifts into fiction. My father, she says, believed precision was a birthright. He taught me every tick counts, every second has a purpose. And that is the Fairchild promise. You almost laugh. Instead, you focus on the mic cable. You can feel her gaze graze over you briefly, recognition flashing and vanishing like static. When the investors applaud, she steps off stage, voice crisp. Someone find out why this microphone sounds cheap. The event coordinator waves you over before you can disappear. Carter, can you fix it before the Q&A? You nod, crouching near the podium again. As you adjust the wiring, a voice murmurs behind you. Well, if it isn't my fiancé, you glance up. Evelyn stands there, flawless as ever, holding her glass of sparkling water like a prop. The sarcasm is sharp enough to cut. You straighten slowly. You're still wearing the watch. She glances at it, almost self-consciously. Of course. It's vintage, matches the brand. And the story? You ask quietly. Her lips curve. The story sells. You meet her eyes. Even if it's a lie? She leans in, voice low but dangerous. Mr. Carter, you're an employee. Fix the microphone, not the family tree. The words hit, cold and deliberate. But she doesn't see your hand slip into your pocket, where a small folded paper waits. A photocopy of the original Fairchild and Collins Watchworks registry, her father's name. Your name, side by side, you'd found it in an old newspaper archive 3 nights ago, faded but undeniable. Proof that her legacy began with a partnership erased from every brochure and biography after 1988. Still, you say nothing. Not yet. Suspense thrives in silence. When the Q&A begins, an older man in the front row, gray suit, sharp eyes, raises his hand. "Ms. Fairchild," he says, "I heard rumors that your father's designs were once co-created. Any truth to that?" Her smile barely twitches. "No, sir. My father was the sole visionary behind Fairchild timepieces. Any claims otherwise are unfounded." You're close enough to see her pulse tick under her skin. Afterward, she corners you near the backstage corridor. "You planted that question." "I didn't." "You knew about it," she hisses. "Don't play coy," you shrug. Questions have a way of finding the people who fear them most. She glares. "You think you can blackmail me?" "I think," you say calmly. "Truth has its own timing." Her laughter bursts out, too loud, brittle. "Oh, that's poetic." "What's next? You'll tell the world you built my father's empire from a broom closet?" Your gaze doesn't waver. Not a broom closet. A workshop on Lenox Street. You were 6 when he shut it down. That stops her. "How do you—" "Because I was there the day he closed it," you interrupt softly. "I told him we'd finish the prototype together someday." Her breath catches, then hardens again. "My father never worked with anyone like you." "Like me?" She freezes. You meant what you said. You let the silence sit, uncomfortable, electric, then you hand her a small envelope. "You might want to read this before your next press conference." "What is it?" "Something your father never had the courage to tell you." She looks down but doesn't open it. "You think this little stunt scares me?" "No," you say, walking away. "I think it scares you that I don't need to prove anything." That night she sits alone in her penthouse, city lights reflecting off the glass walls like ghosts of expectation. The envelope rests unopened on her desk. Finally, curiosity wins. She tears it open, a single photocopy inside. 1987, Partnership Registry. Fairchild and Collins Watchworks. Richard Fairchild, owner. Charles Collins, master horologist. Her eyes flick to the second name. C.C., she whispers it aloud. Almost afraid. "Charles." "Collins," the initials on the back of her father's watch. Her hand trembles. She grabs her phone, searching the archives, the old business directories. Every record she finds stops the same year, 1988. The year Fairchild became the sole owner. The year Collins vanished from the records. Downstairs, you finish your shift, clocking out in silence. The radio hums with static. You think of her face when she read that paper, of recognition dawning where arrogance used to live. But you also remember what your mentor, her father, once a better man, said to you all those years ago. "If they erase your name, son, make sure the timepiece still tells your truth." You look at your own wristwatch, not fancy, not jeweled, but steady, the one he gave you before the merger. Tick, tick, tick. Time, as always, is on your side. The next morning, Evelyn walks into the hotel lobby again, her heels clicking like defiance. She sees you across the marble floor and calls out, voice low enough to sound controlled but sharp enough to cut. "Mr. Collins," she says, testing the name. You stop, slowly turn. "It's Carter," you correct gently. "Not anymore, is it?" she says. "You changed it, didn't you?" After they forced you out, you say nothing. Her knowing smile fades into something else. Doubt, maybe regret. "I need to speak with you," she says finally, privately. "At my office. Noon." And just like that, the power dynamic begins to tilt. As you walk away, a few guests glance curiously. None of them realize they've just witnessed the start of something bigger. Not a scandal, not a lawsuit, but time itself rewriting a legacy. People still argue whether she meant it as a threat or an invitation. Evelyn's office sits at the top of Fairchild Tower, glass on every side, sunlight pouring in like a spotlight no one can escape. Everything gleams, white marble, black steel, and a wall-sized portrait of her father staring down like a silent judge. You stand by the window, taking in the view. She closes the door behind her. "Mr. Collins," she says evenly, "I'll admit, you surprised me." You glance over your shoulder. "That makes two of us." She crosses the room, heels clicking, her movements precise as if choreographed. "You could have gone public with that document. Instead, you gave it to me. Why? Because truth isn't a weapon, you say. It's a mirror." She gives a short, humorless laugh. "Philosophical for a repairman." "Careful," you murmur. "You're talking to the man who built the heart of your brand. That lands." You can see her facade waver. Just for a second. Then she recovers. "Let's say I believe you. What do you want? Money? Recognition? An apology?" You step closer. "None of that. I just want the record set right." She folds her arms. "You think the board will rewrite history because of one dusty paper?" "History rewrites itself when the truth is undeniable." Her eyes narrow. "You sound like you're planning something." You don't answer. Instead, you let your gaze drift to the portrait of her father, his hand resting on the same gold watch now on her wrist. "He used to hum while he worked," you say softly. "Mozart, mostly. Said the rhythm helped his mind keep time. You do that too, hum when you're nervous." Her composure cracks. "How do you—" "You did it at the gala when the clasp jammed," you interrupt gently. "He taught you that, didn't he?" She looks down at the watch, her reflection warping in the glass. "He said it kept him calm." You nod. "He said it hid the guilt. That line freezes her." She looks up sharply. "Guilt for what?" You take a step back. "You'll find out soon enough." A long silence stretches between you. The city hums below, oblivious. Finally, she exhales. "I'll need time to verify your claim." "Take all the time you need," you say, heading toward the door. "After all, that's what this is really about." Before you leave, you turn back. "Oh, and Miss Fairchild? Yes?" "You might want to check the back of your father's desk drawer. Left side, then you're gone. That night she can't sleep. The hum of the city is too loud, the tick of the watch too steady." Eventually, she gets up, pours herself a drink, and sits at her father's old mahogany desk, the one she inherited but never truly looked through. For a moment, she hesitates. Then she pulls open the left drawer, nothing but dust, until she feels a ridge near the back and a false panel. She presses. It slides open with a faint click. Inside lies a thin black box. She opens it. A small cassette tape. Label faded, handwritten, "For Evelyn. Play if I'm gone." Her heart stops. She rummages through her drawers for an old tape player, finds one, and slides the cassette in. The static hums. Then a familiar voice, aged and weary, fills the room. "Evelyn, if you're hearing this, I suppose I never told you the whole truth. Fairchild and Collins wasn't just a partnership. It was a friendship. Charles Collins was the craftsman, the soul of every piece we made. I was the face. When the investors came, they wanted a single name. I let them choose mine. I told myself I'd fix it later, but later never came." She sinks into the chair, trembling. "If he's still out there, tell him I'm sorry. Tell him the watch you wear still beats because of him. Every tick is his legacy." The tape ends. Silence swallows the room. Evelyn stares out the window, city lights blurring through her tears. For the first time in her life, the name Fairchild feels heavier than gold. She replays the message twice. 3 times, then grabs her phone, dialing her assistant. "Cancel my appointments tomorrow," she says, voice raw. "I need to find someone." The next morning, she's waiting in the maintenance hallway when you arrive. No press, no cameras, just her, in jeans and a blazer, out of her element. "Good morning, Ms. Fairchild," you say without slowing down. "I listened to the tape," she blurts. "You stop. So you found it." She nods, eyes red but steady. He admitted everything. The partnership, the lie, all of it. "Then I guess we're finally on the same time." She exhales shakily. "I don't know how to fix this." "Start by telling the truth." She hesitates. "If I do that, the board will revolt. Our brand, your brand is built on silence," you cut in. "Maybe it's time it learned to speak." She flinches. "You talk like you want me to destroy everything." No, you say quietly. I want you to rebuild it, with both names. Her jaw tightens. You trust me to do that? I don't need to trust you, you reply. The world will see soon enough. Something flickers in her eyes. Defiance or desperation. Maybe both. You really think people care about some old watchmaker's name? You smile faintly. They will, when they see what's inside the watch. She freezes. Inside? You nod toward her wrist. The truth your father couldn't bury. It's not just a timepiece, Miss Fairchild, it's a confession. Her voice lowers. What do you mean? Open it, you say, walking past her. Then decide how deep you want this lie to go. That night, she sits at her vanity, unscrewing the back of the watch carefully with trembling hands. Inside, etched beneath the mechanism, she finds a tiny engraving almost invisible to the naked eye. Forgive me, CC. RF. Her breath catches. The second hand ticks once, twice, and then it stops. The watch has run out of power, perfectly timed with her realization. She stares at the still hands, whispering, You left me with a broken clock and a borrowed name. Outside, thunder rolls across the city like a drumbeat of reckoning. What she doesn't know, not yet, is that you already made a copy of that tape weeks ago. And tomorrow, the board will receive an anonymous file titled Fairchild's Forgotten Partner. The countdown to truth has begun. You never liked the sound of clocks. Even as a boy, the endless ticking in your father's repair shop made you restless, like every second was something you owed to the world. Back then, your father would smile, a quiet man with sawdust on his sleeves, saying, Son, you don't fix time. You respect it. You didn't understand what he meant until you met Richard Fairchild. It was 1989. You were a 24-year-old apprentice with calloused fingers and an eye for precision. Fairchild had walked into your workshop one afternoon, his shoes too clean for the South Side dust, his voice too confident to belong there. He admired your craftsmanship, the way you could make a broken clock tick without replacing half its guts. You've got hands built for legacy, he'd said. Come work with me. I'm starting something big. You hesitated. A white man in a tailored coat offering partnership to a young black craftsman wasn't a scene you trusted easily. But he talked about equality, about blending artistry and entrepreneurship, about putting your names side by side, Fairchild and Collins. It sounded honest then. For a while, it was. You built watches that whispered stories, each piece handmade, each tick a note of pride. He handled the marketing, the clients, the charm. You handled the craft, the gears, the soul. Together, you made magic. Then the investors came, suits with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. They liked your work, but not your name. We need something simple, one said, tapping a gold pen against his notebook. Clean. Anglo. International. You still remember the way Richard avoided your gaze that day when the first line launched, Fairchild Timepieces. Your name was gone. You didn't fight him publicly. You couldn't. You had a wife then, a baby girl, and rent that didn't forgive pride. He promised he'd make it right after the press dies down. But months turned to years, and silence hardened into betrayal. You left quietly without a lawsuit or scandal. But you took one watch, your last prototype, the Unity Series #1, the one engraved with both initials. RF and CC. It was meant to symbolize equality. 2 craftsmen, 1 timepiece. He gave it to his daughter instead. You never saw him again. Back in the present, you stand in the repair bay of the hotel, surrounded by shelves of tools and boxes labeled with other people's broken time. The past hums in your chest like an old clock refusing to die. You take the old cassette player from your workbench, pressing play one more time. Tell him I'm sorry. Richard's voice echoes faintly through static. Every tick is his legacy. You pause it halfway through. The words taste hollow now. From the corner of your eye, you notice movement. The hotel manager, nervous, holding a clipboard. Carter, he says quietly. You're trending again. Someone leaked the tape. You set the player down. Leaked? He nods. Anonymous email. Sent to half the city's media outlets. They're saying Fairchild stole his entire company from his black partner. You don't react. And they're right. He shifts uneasily. Evelyn's looking for you. She's not herself. You smile faintly. That makes two of us. Across town in the Fairchild Tower boardroom, the storm hits. News anchors loop the headline. Heir to Fairchild Empire faces legacy scandal. Every executive around the table looks pale, clutching their coffee cups like shields. Evelyn stands at the head of the table, the tape's transcript printed before her, her father's words now public property. This is a smear, one board member insists. We can spin it as a fabrication, another shakes his head. The engraving, the watch, the partnership records, it all checks out. He's telling the truth. Evelyn doesn't speak. She just stares at the city through the rain-streaked glass, the same view her father used to boast over. Ms. Fairchild? The CFO prods. What's our statement? She finally turns. We tell the truth. The room falls silent. Excuse me? Someone says. She sets the watch on the table, its still hands gleaming. He built this. My father knew it. So will the world, but the shareholders can take it up with history, she says coldly. Her voice is steady, but her eyes betray something raw. Shame, fear, maybe even admiration. She walks out before they can stop her. By sunset, the city is watching. You're back on the rooftop, fixing a string of decorative bulbs that have blown again. Irony in motion. The skyline glows orange. Then the elevator dings open. Evelyn steps out holding 2 cups of coffee. No sunglasses this time, just honesty in her eyes. I figured I owed you one, she says softly, offering a cup. You take it. Didn't think you were the type to apologize over caffeine. She manages a tired smile. You were right. The truth does rewrite itself, you sip. And how's the board taking the rewrite? Half want me gone. The other half want to hire a crisis firm. And you? I want to rebuild. Using both names? She nods slowly. Fairchild and Collins. Like it should have been. You study her for a long moment. That's a heavy inheritance. I know. She looks at the watch on her wrist, now still unmoving. It stopped last night. Maybe that's fitting. You lean on the railing. Maybe it's waiting to start again. She looks out over the city. He told me once, time doesn't heal lies. It just exposes them. You nod. Your father said that? No, she says quietly. You just did. A small smile tugs at your lips. For a moment, there's peace. Brief, fragile, human. Then your phone buzzes. Unknown number. You answer. A clipped voice says, Mr. Collins, this is Channel 9 News. We'd like a statement before we air the second tape. You freeze. Second tape? Yes, sir. The one your partner recorded a week before he passed. The one no one's heard yet. You glance at Evelyn. Her eyes widen. She hears the word second. You end the call. The night air feels colder. Something wrong? She asks. You pocket the phone. Depends on what he confessed next. The city hums. The clock on her wrist is silent. And for the first time, both of you realize the story isn't over. It's just begun to tell itself. The next morning, your phone explodes with notifications before dawn, news alerts, missed calls, messages from journalists who suddenly remember your number. The second tape is out. By the time you switch on the TV in the hotel's staff lounge, every channel is looping the same grainy audio. Richard Fairchild's voice, older, heavier, soaked in guilt. If the world ever learns what we did to Collins, it won't stop there. Investors will panic. Stocks will crash. The deal, the other deal, will come to light. God help us if it does. The reporter's voice overlays it. Sources confirm this recording was discovered in a private vault, released anonymously. Authorities are now investigating financial discrepancies in Fairchild Industries' early years. You sit still. Coffee cooling. Silence filling the air like smoke after an explosion. So it wasn't just betrayal. It was fraud. Decades of it, hidden beneath luxury, family, and a stolen name. A housekeeper switches off the TV, whispering, "Guess truth don't clock out, huh?" You manage a smile. Not even on weekends. Up in her office, Evelyn's world is unraveling. Her phone keeps buzzing, her inbox overflowing with questions she can't answer. The board demands a statement. Investors threaten to pull out. Protesters gather outside with signs reading, "Give credit where it's due." She sits at her desk, staring at the silent watch. It's strange. She never noticed before how heavy it feels when it doesn't tick. The phone rings again. Her assistant's voice trembles. "Ma'am, they're saying your father's actions might void some of your patents. The foundation's funding is frozen. We need a press conference." "Schedule it," she says softly. "Now?" "Immediately. By noon, the hotel lobby transforms into a media circus, cameramen, reporters, curious. Guests leaning over balconies to catch a glimpse of the heiress everyone's now calling the daughter of deception. You're in the background, unseen among staff, wiping the brass railings, your badge flipped backward. You don't want attention, but you can't look away either. The podium gleams under bright lights. Evelyn steps up, calm but pale, dressed in black, not for fashion, but for mourning. "Thank you for coming," she begins, her voice steady despite the tremor beneath it. "My father, Richard Fairchild, built a legacy admired by millions. What I learned this week is that part of that legacy was stolen. Cameras flashed like lightning. He wronged his partner, Mr. Charles Collins, a man whose craftsmanship gave life to every watch this company ever sold." You hear murmurs ripple through the crowd. Someone whispers, "Is he here?" Evelyn continues, "Fairchild and Collins will relaunch under both names. We will publicly acknowledge Mr. Collins as co-founder, and I will personally fund a scholarship for underrepresented artisans in his honor." Applause rises, hesitant, cautious, but real. For a moment, she looks relieved. Then a voice shouts from the back. "What about the fraud, Ms. Fairchild?" "The secret accounts? The forged patents?" Her throat tightens. "Those matters are under legal review. So you admit your company profited from illegal deals?" Another reporter calls out. She freezes. The crowd senses blood. Cameras zoom closer. "I'm not my father," she says quietly. "But you benefited from his crimes." The first reporter presses. "How do you justify that?" The lights feel hotter. The murmurs swell. Her confidence shatters visibly. You step forward instinctively. Just one step. Before realizing you can't save her from this storm. She's drowning in the same truth you released. Hours later, the footage floods social media. Fairchildgate trends worldwide. Some praise her honesty. Others mock her tears. Most just want someone to blame. In your small apartment, you sit on the edge of your bed, watching it play out. The internet doesn't believe in nuance, only villains and victims. And tonight, both of you are both. A knock sounds on your door. When you open it, Evelyn's there, rain-soaked, hair clinging to her face. Exhaustion etched in every line. "You told them?" she says quietly. You step aside. "Come in," she does. Drips onto your tile floor. Doesn't sit. Just stands there trembling with restrained fury. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yeah," you say calmly. "Told the truth. You humiliated me." "No," you correct her softly. "Your father did. I just stopped cleaning up after him." She looks away, voice breaking. "My company's collapsing. The people we employ, they'll lose everything. Maybe that's what justice costs." She glares at you. "You think you're some kind of hero?" "I think I'm a man who's tired of pretending broken things still work. The silence that follows isn't angry. It's human." Her shoulders slump. "He wasn't all bad, you know. He loved me. He thought he was protecting me." "I believe that," you say gently. "But love doesn't erase harm. It just delays the reckoning." She closes her eyes. "Then what am I supposed to do now?" "Tell the full story," you say. "Not the Fairchild version. The truth, start to finish. Let people decide for themselves." She hesitates. "They'll crucify me." "Maybe. Or maybe they'll finally see you as human." Later that night, she records a live stream. No PR filter, no teleprompter. Just her face lit by a single lamp. She starts softly. "I used to think legacy was about wealth. But legacy is about truth. And the truth is, my father's brilliance came from a man he wronged. I can't change that, but I can honor it." The comments scroll fast. Anger, empathy, forgiveness, ridicule. But amid the chaos, one message stands out. Truth isn't weapon. Sometimes it takes the heir to undo the empire. You don't comment. You just watch. And as she speaks, you notice the watch on her wrist start ticking again. Faintly, softly, impossibly. She doesn't notice. But you do. Tick, 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 a rhythm reborn. For the first time, it's keeping time with hers. The next morning, the world wakes up divided. Half the headlines read, Heiress breaks silence, apology or strategy. The other half, Fairchild legacy, built on stolen time. No one knows whether to hate her or forgive her. And you? You're not sure either. You walk to work like always, toolbox in hand, cap pulled low, but now strangers nod when they pass. Someone shouts from across the street. You're the watch guy, right? The truth teller. You wave it off, but the words stick. At the hotel, a crowd of journalists waits near the main entrance, cameras ready. Evelyn's SUV pulls up. Flashes ignite the morning like a lightning storm. Miss Fairchild, is it true you're stepping down? Are you meeting with Mr. Collins today? Did you really lose the board's confidence? She keeps her head high. No makeup, no armor, just raw defiance wrapped in exhaustion. Good morning, she says softly, then disappears inside. You're waiting in the service hall. She finds you there, like she always does now, far from microphones and money. Morning, you say. She nods. You saw the live stream. I did. You approve? I respect it, she exhales. They didn't. The board? They called it emotional suicide. You chuckle dryly. Sometimes truth kills the wrong thing first. Her lips twitch, a flicker of a smile. You always talk like you're quoting scripture. My father used to say every truth starts as a whisper. People just don't like the echo. She looks at you for a moment, longer than she means to. Then, I need your help. You raise an eyebrow. Fixing another watch? Fixing the brand. You lean against the wall. I thought you were rebuilding, not reviving. She hesitates. The public doesn't want the same old Fairchild. They want something real. I can't do that without you. You study her face, the tension, the resolve. You almost feel sorry for her. Almost. Why me? You ask. Because you understand what the brand was supposed to stand for. And what's that? Precision, integrity, legacy. You nod slowly. Funny. Those are all things your father lost. Her voice drops. Then help me find them again. That afternoon, you follow her to the old Fairchild factory, abandoned now, dust thick as memory. Sunlight cuts through broken windows, slicing the air into strips of gold. She walks ahead, tracing her fingers over rusted equipment. I used to play here when I was little, she murmurs. He'd tell me stories about craftsmanship, about pride. I thought it was ours. You run your hand along a cracked workbench. This is where we built the first Unity series. She stops. Here, right here. You tap the surface. We stayed up 3 nights straight. He wanted perfection. I wanted honesty. She laughs softly. 2 kinds of ambition. Only one aged well. You both fall silent. The place hums with ghosts. Then she turns to you. The company lawyer says you could file for restitution. Co-founder's rights. It could make you rich. You shake your head. I didn't do this for money. Then why? You look around the room. Because I wanted history to tell the right story. She studies you, like she's trying to measure something invisible. You really think people care about old watchmakers and stolen credits? I think people care about honesty when they've run out of heroes. The air stills. Dust motes float like tiny planets between you. Then you say quietly, "There's one more thing you should know." She frowns. What? The second tape wasn't the last one, she blinks. What are you talking about? You nod toward a small locked cabinet in the corner. He recorded a third. I found it years ago, buried in his prototype box. Never told anyone. Her voice tightens. What's on it? You hesitate, not for effect, but because even after all these years, part of you still can't believe it yourself. He talks about you. Her face goes pale. Me, you nod slowly. Says he wanted to tell you before he died. But he couldn't bear to see the truth in your eyes. What truth? She whispers. You look away. You'll see. Hours later, you sit together in the old office, the cassette player on the desk between you. The label reads only E. You press play. The tape crackles, then his voice. fragile, fading, fills the room again. Evelyn, if you found this, you already know what I did to Charles. But there's something else you must understand. The day you were born, he was there. He made the first watch you ever wore, the little silver one with the blue strap. He said it would remind you to value time, not titles. I told him you'd never forget him. Then I erased him. Evelyn covers her mouth. Her breath shudders. I told him I'd make things right before you grew up. I didn't, so if he's still alive, tell him I kept time wrong. The tape ends. You sit in silence. Only the wind through the cracked window answers. Finally, she whispers, "He made my watch. The one I wore every day as a child." You nod. "He did." Her voice trembles. "So he was part of my life before I even knew it." "Seems like we all were," you say quietly. She wipes a tear, trying to smile. "You know when I said, 'Play this piano and I'll marry you'? I thought I was being clever, testing you. You were mocking me. I was scared," she admits. Scared of losing power. Scared of being seen as nothing without a name. You nod slowly. "You sound like your father." That stings, but she doesn't deny it. Then she looks at you, truly looks, eyes clear, unguarded. "Maybe it's time I start sounding like myself." You smile faintly. That's a start. As she leaves, she pauses in the doorway. "You never answered my question that night." "What question?" "If you fixed the watch, would you still marry me?" You chuckle softly. "That watch belonged to a liar, Evelyn." She tilts her head. "And now?" You glance at the tape player, still spinning silently. Now it belongs to a woman trying to tell the truth. She smiles, faint, bittersweet. "Maybe time can fix more than I thought." As the door closes behind her, the old clock on the wall, dead for decades, ticks once, just once, like a secret deciding whether to stay buried. You never meant to go back to that factory, but 2 weeks later you do. They've cleared out the dust, replaced the broken windows, and hung a new sign above the gates. Fairchild and Collins. Time rebuilt, the name hits you like a heartbeat. Cautious. Real. Inside, workers buzz around in safety vests and fresh uniforms. Some are new. Some are old-timers you recognize by their scars and steady hands. A sense of something sacred returning fills the air, the sound of gears clicking, hammers tapping, and faith being stitched back together. At the far end of the assembly floor, Evelyn stands beside a podium. Cameras again, the world's eyes on her once more. You don't like cameras, but today, you stand in the frame beside her. She leans toward you just before stepping up to the mic. "You sure you want to do this?" You shrug. "I didn't come this far to stay invisible." The lights flare. The murmurs hush. "Good morning," she begins. "My name is Evelyn Fairchild, and I have a confession." A ripple moves through the crowd. When I inherited this company, I thought legacy was about luxury. I thought precision meant perfection, and perfection meant power. I was wrong. Legacy, she pauses, looking your way, is about the truth you're brave enough to carry, even when it's inconvenient. The audience listens. Some film on their phones. Others simply watch, wide-eyed. This company, she continues, was not built by one man, but by two. One whose name you know, my father, Reginald Fairchild, and one whose name you should have known all along. She steps aside. Her hand gestures toward you. Charles Collins. The crowd applauds. Then louder. You're not sure whether to bow or run. Cameras flash. Reporters shout questions. But she raises a hand. Today we restore what was taken. The design patent of the Unity series will now bear both names. And the company will donate half its annual profits to scholarships for underrepresented artisans, the ones who keep time alive. Quietly, like Mr. Collins once did. The applause builds until it drowns out everything else. You glance at her. She's smiling, but it's not the practiced smile from magazine covers. It's smaller, trembling, like a bridge learning it can hold weight again. Then you notice it. A flash of silver on her wrist. Your father's watch. The same one she wore as a girl, except this time, it ticks. That evening, the internet explodes. Time rebuilt trends in all 50 states. Clips of your handshake circulate with headlines like, Craftsman redeems Heiress and Fairchild Factory returns to its roots. But the story that goes viral is not Evelyn's speech. It's the moment right after. Caught on someone's phone, you're seen turning to her and saying something no one can quite hear. Then she laughs, covers her face, and says, "You're impossible." People start guessing what you said. Memes flood in. Someone even slows the clip down, adding captions like, "You owe me dinner." But only you and she know the truth. What you actually said was, "You look more like yourself now." A week later, she invites you to dinner. Not at a luxury hotel, not at a press event, but at a small diner off Route 8. The kind where the walls hum with jukebox songs and the waitresses know everyone's name. She's already there when you arrive, wearing jeans, a gray sweater, and the simplest gold earrings you've ever seen her in. "You're late," she says with mock sternness. "I didn't think billionaires waited." "Former billionaires," she corrects. You grin. I like that version better. For the first few minutes, neither of you talks about watches, companies, or legacy. You talk about childhood, how her father never let her near the workshop after she broke a glass dial. How you learned patience from fixing your mom's old alarm clock, just to make her smile before her hospital shifts. Small stories, real ones. At one point she asks, "Do you ever miss music?" You nod. "Every day?" "Why did you stop playing?" "Because sometimes life plays you instead." She laughs, a real one this time. "You know, I never apologized for that night at the gala." You did indirectly. I mean, really apologize. You look at her. "Then do it." She takes a breath. "I'm sorry for reducing you to a dare." You nod slowly. "And I'm sorry for turning your father's ghost into my weapon." She stares at you for a long time. Then, "Seems we both mistook pride for purpose." "That's what time does," you say softly. Teaches humility in slow motion. When the check comes, she insists on paying. Fairchild tradition, she jokes. You slide a small object across the table, an envelope. "Before you do," you say, "there's one last thing." She opens it. Inside is a folded napkin sketch, your father's handwriting. "The Fairchild number 9, she reads aloud. "The design that never launched." You nod. "Your father and mine argued over it for years. He thought it was too radical, too honest. But I finished it." "It's yours if you want it." She touches the paper delicately. "It's beautiful. It's a collaboration," you say. "The past and the present." "The Liar and the Repairman," she smiles faintly. "That's quite a brand name." Maybe better as a story. Outside, the night air carries a hint of rain. Neon lights shimmer on the wet asphalt. You stand by her car. She hesitates before getting in. "Charles," she says softly. "Yeah? If I ever ask you to play the piano again, I'll mean it this time." You laugh. "Careful. I might hold you to that." She steps closer, the same confidence as before, but none of the arrogance. "Just quiet certainty. Then consider it a promise," she says. For a moment, the world slows. Headlights blurring, city noise fading, clock hands pausing mid-spin. You realize this is what closure feels like. Not triumph, not vengeance, but stillness. "Time fixes everything," you murmur. She smiles. "Only if you let it." The car door closes, soft as forgiveness, and as she drives away, you look down at your wrist. Your father's watch ticks steady, not to mark what's been lost, but what's finally been found. Weeks later, the Fairchild and Collins timepiece collection releases its first model. It sells out in hours. On the back, engraved in fine script, are the words, "For those who measure time by truth." People wear it like a secret reminder that once upon a time, a billionaire mocked a janitor with a cruel challenge, and he answered not with pride, but precision. People still argue whether they ever fell in love, or whether it was just respect wearing a softer face. But the truth? Some stories don't need an ending. They just need to keep ticking. 3 months later, the Fairchild and Collins. Noma 9 wins the Horology Guild's Innovation Award, the first time a collaboration between a blue-collar craftsman and a luxury brand has ever been honored in the same breath. You're in Geneva, wearing a borrowed suit standing under chandeliers that look like frozen rain. Evelyn takes the stage, grace in every motion. But when she speaks, her voice trembles. not from nerves, but reverence. I used to think perfection was measured in diamonds, she says. Now I know it's measured in honesty. Applause fills the hall, warm and honest. You watch from the side, thinking how strange it is that your life has circled back to where it should have been years ago, standing not in the shadows, but in the same light you helped build. When she finishes, she steps off stage and catches your eye. "Your turn," she whispers. You shake your head. "I fix watches, Evelyn. I don't make speeches." "Then speak like you fix them. Carefully. The microphone feels heavier than any wrench. You look at the audience, jewelers, CEOs, apprentices, and start with the simplest words. Time doesn't care who you are. It only tells the truth." A hush spreads. Cameras click, people like me. "We don't usually stand here," you continue. "We build, polish, and vanish. But the truth we make keeps ticking long after we're gone. I guess tonight proves the world still listens when you wind honesty back into motion." The applause swells, not the wild kind, but the kind that feels earned. You glance at Evelyn. She's wiping a tear, smiling through it. And for a moment, you both seem to understand something unspoken, that your fathers built a legacy neither of you could escape until you faced it together. Later that night, you wander the hotel rooftop, Geneva's lights shimmering below like tiny clock gears in motion. Evelyn joins you, holding 2 glasses of champagne. "You made them cry," she says, handing you one. "You made them believe." She laughs softly. "You ever think we'd end up here?" "Not even once," she sips her drink. "My father used to bring me to events like this. Said this city was where time was born, and where lies come to die," you say quietly. Her gaze lingers on the horizon. "You really think he regretted it? What he did to your father?" You nod. "He said so himself on that 3rd tape. But did he mean it?" You take a slow breath. "I think he meant it the way people mean things when it's too late." She nods, voice barely a whisper. "I've been wondering something else." "What's that?" "Why you kept the tape all these years." You pause. "Because part of me wanted to hear him say my father's name again. Even if it hurt." She studies you. "You could have destroyed it." "Then I'd have destroyed the proof that he finally saw me." Silence falls, the kind that doesn't need to be filled. Then she says softly, "I've been carrying something too." You raise an eyebrow. "Another secret?" "More like a truth I didn't earn yet." She reaches into her purse and pulls out a velvet pouch. Inside is the Fairchild #1, the original watch from the scandal, the one you restored, the one her father stole credit for. "I thought you'd want it," she says. "But I couldn't give it back until I understood what it really meant." You turn the watch over in your hands. The engraved initials CC faint beneath her father's name. "You know," she says quietly, "I used to believe marriage was just another kind of acquisition, something you win, something you own. But after all this, I think it's about shared time, about who you choose to measure life with." You look up. "Is this your way of proposing again?" She smiles. "Maybe it's my way of saying the offer's still open." You chuckle, the sound carried off by the wind. "You're relentless." "I'm patient," she corrects. "You taught me that." You glance down at the city, all those lights ticking away in silent rhythm. "Maybe patience and love are the same thing," you say. She leans on the railing beside you. "Maybe." The next morning you wake early. Geneva's sun filters through the curtains, pale gold. The watch lies on the nightstand, still ticking. You pick it up and notice something you hadn't before, a small imperfection near the crown. It's not a scratch. It's a symbol, carved so small only a watchmaker's eye could find it. 2 interlocking circles, half hidden under the rim. You freeze. You know that mark. Your father's signature, the one he left only on the pieces he made for love, not for money. You sit there for a long moment, the truth unspooling quietly. He didn't just design this for her father's client. He designed it for someone he cared about deeply. And then it hits you. The missing connection. The reason her father's betrayal cut so deep. Your father and her mother. He wasn't just robbed of credit. He was robbed of family, the 2 circles, unity and eternity. You whisper he loved her. You stare at the watch, heartbeat sinking with its tick. Suddenly, so much makes sense. The tension between the families, the quiet anger, the secrecy. It wasn't just business. It was buried emotion disguised as rivalry, and maybe Evelyn always knew a part of that. You meet her later that morning in the lobby. She's on the phone, giving orders in fluent French, confidence restored. You wait until she hangs up. "We need to talk." "About what?" she asks. You hand her the watch. "Your mother." Her face stills. "What about her?" "She knew my father, didn't she?" "Before your parents married?" She goes quiet. Then finally, "Yes," you exhale. "He left his mark on this piece, a lover's mark." 2 circles, hidden. She looks at it, then at you. "I found that years ago. Thought it was a design quirk. My mother used to wear that symbol on her locket." There's a long silence. Finally, she whispers, "So our fathers weren't just partners. They were rivals in love. Seems time keeps more secrets than it tells," you murmur. Her eyes soften. Then maybe rebuilding the company wasn't just about redemption. Maybe it was finishing something they never could. You nod slowly. Maybe the watch wasn't just a project, it was a message. "For us." She closes the watch gently. "Then we finished it right." Later, as you fly home, you stare out the window, clouds glowing like slow-turning gears. You touch the ticking watch in your pocket, realizing that for all the pain and pride that came before, time has a strange mercy. It always brings hidden truths to light. People still argue whether you and Evelyn were meant to be, or if you were simply 2 broken legacies trying to repair the same wound. But you know what really happened. The piano dare, the insult, the redemption. They were just openings. The real story was this. 2 families, 2 hearts, and 1 unfinished melody that took decades to resolve, and maybe, in a world obsessed with winning, that's the closest anyone comes to love that lasts. Later that night, after everyone's gone, the 2 of you sit side by side on the factory steps, the city breathing quietly in the distance. The watch ticks between you. Evelyn leans her head on your shoulder. "Do you think time ever forgives us?" she asks. You smile. "It already has." The camera lingers. On the watch, its hands moving in perfect sync, then slowly pans upward to the stars tick-tock piece. If this story reminded you that, respect can't be bought. It's earned through truth and time. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell, because we're telling more stories where dignity outshines privilege every single week. Have you ever been underestimated because of where you came from, what you wear, or what people thought you couldn't do? Drop your story in the comments. Your moment of strength might just inspire our next viral tale of justice and redemption. And here's a little challenge for the sharp-eyed viewers. There's a tiny moment around minute 7:18 when Evelyn reaches for the ticking watch after it starts again that quietly reveals the truth before anyone else catches on. Watch her right hand carefully. What she does with her thumb gives away that she already knows whose initials are engraved inside. Did you catch it? Comment your theory below, because in this story, just like in life, every second counts and every detail tells the truth.